What's up everybody, another beautiful day in the Dragon Isles, and today we're taking a look at Mythic Molgoth, or the Amalgamation Chambers, whatever they end up calling it. In the new raid, Aberrus, the Shadowed Crucible. Now I'll be going over what's new on Mythic, how to fight changes, and potential approaches. So keep in mind that this is not a complete guide on how to defeat this boss on Mythic, and keep in mind this is PTR, so things can change or be reworked completely. Some things doesn't work, is over, undertuned, etc, etc. Ready for launch! So the big new thing on Mythic are the Shadow and Flame debuffs you get from each boss. They now last forever and can only be cleared by having two players with the opposite marks hug it out. And doing so will deal damage to players within 6 yards of them. It will clear their stacks, and for each stack removed you get a stack of Lingering Shadow or Flame, depending on if you had Shadow or Flame debuff before. These new Lingering debuff deals Shadow or Flame damage over 20 seconds, and this damage is increased per stack, but they also increase damage taken by 10% per stack from either Shadow or Flame, depending on which you cleared. So if a player with 10 stacks of Flame debuff cleared their stacks, they get 10 stacks of Lingering Flame, take a shit ton of fire damage, and increase fire damage taken by 100%. So this means rather than rotating the entire raid without hugging, you now want them all to hug. But due to the 6-yard AoE, you're gonna want to do this in a controlled fashion. So you could either go to the overkill route and assign everyone on the shadow side a fire buddy to clear with at X amount of stacks, or do it in a staggered fashion like group 1 and 3 clear, group 2 and 4 clear, which would make it a tad less hectic, and there's not really a need to clear stacks at a specific moment. It's fine if you clear a few, then a few more a bit later. That being said, there are some abilities that help or screw you over if you try to clear during them, like the Shadow Convergence, which spawns near Shadow Boss and deals less damage the further away you are. Lends itself to be a great moment for Shadow side to just run over. On the other hand, during Fiery Meteor or Molten Eruption, Flame side needs to be near Fire Boss, so doing a swap there will certainly spice things up a bit. And your poor tanks will need a clear buddy that runs to them, unless you want to stack the bosses and instantly wipe the raid. Choices. And on top of this, there's also more Fire Swirl spawning from the Flame Slash, and everything in phase 1 hurts a lot more. Now moving into phase 2, the added mechanic on Mythic is, well, the same as above. Previously on Heroic you got a combined buff that just stacked indefinitely, but now supposedly 6 players get Shadow and 6 gets Fire, according to the Dungeon Journal. However, whilst testing, only players that got hit by a Shadow or Flame ability got a stack. But assuming 6 players or half the raid gets Shadow or the other gets Fire, you will need to stay spread at all times and find a debuff buddy with a different debuff and clear when stacks gets too high, which will of course be made a lot harder than it sounds since you constantly have to run around due to all the other mechanics. Or it's gonna end up being that you don't clear at all, and the opposite marks just have to avoid each other for the rest of the fight to not stack up Lingering Shadow or Flame during this, which would also make sense since you have to soak stuff like the Frontal Soak or Small Soak Circle, so having to do that without running into a marked player is gonna be a lot trickier than the opposite. And these debuffs also reduce your HP by 1% per stack, just like Heroic. On the other hand, if the encounter works as intended and players only get debuff when they get hit by an ability, that would make for a spicy encounter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think of the new Mythic mechanics. If you have any questions, hit me up here or become a patron or Twitch sub and get access to the Stankie Gaming Discord, which is the fastest way to get a hold of me, and it's also filled with a lot of useful info and helpful people if you need any help PvE wise. And it also helps me be able to create more videos. Now don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, ring that notification bell. Tons of guides coming. I'm also streaming all of my progression rating on Twitch, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday, Stankie Gaming. And yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.